Hey guys, it's Steph. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be setting up my January pages for 2022. Normally I do a flip through of the previous month, but since it was my setup video, you'll just have to go watch the video. I posted it yesterday, the day before yesterday. I can't quite remember. Anyway, getting into the theme for January, I knew I wanted to continue this beautiful 847 red color. I actually wanted to keep the monthly pages for January kind of correlating to the setup pages, so I kept the same template, the same palette is what I meant to say. I kept the same palette of the 847 and the N55, and I simply added, and I kept the Posca gold paint pen, and I just kind of removed the dark gray. I didn't have a need for it. While I was thinking about theme ideas for January that could incorporate red and gold and black and white, I came to the inspiration of, what if I did a Phantom of the Opera theme? It takes place in the wintertime. There's beautiful snow scenes. It's one of my favorite musicals and one of my favorite soundtracks. So absolutely love Phantom of the Opera. So that's the theme that I decided to go with. And what immediately came to mind for this cover page is what you see here, kind of a wash of red, almost like the velvet of a cape or of a dress, and the other half being black, as in midnight or black cape. It's very black and red domino effect going on here, which also ties into the theme. So I just really liked the idea. So I started off by doodling the mask in pencil and then kind of built it around that. And then as I was creating the page, I was kind of debating, do I do the red and then immediately fill the other side with black or not? And I decided instead to go ahead and let the red set for a minute, not because it's gonna dry or anything, but I just didn't feel ready to do the black wash. And it actually worked out, because in the short period of time that I colored the black half of this page, I forgot where my placement was for my quote, and I had existential crisis while filming, which you'll see me kind of go back and forth and try to see the pencil marks under the black Tombow, and it was not working. So for the lettering, for the font here, I really just wanted to go with a very dramatically long cursive font, kind of like the scrolling font you would see on an invitation to the opera, for example. So that was just the idea that I went with, and I realize now that you can't quite see the shiny red, the shiny gold lettering on the red side. I promise that in person you can see it much better. I'm also realizing that you guys get to see half of my ponytail. Sorry for the view of the back of my head for quite a bit of this part of it. I was trying to be very careful in my brush strokes to avoid any kind of bleeding or anything. This paper on these Archer and Olive bullet journals is quite thick, but you know, you just never know when it absorbs enough. And then of course around the mask, I didn't want to go into the mask at all. I realized that it's not white on a black background or anything like that. I'm trying to do a negative space there. So I was just being extra careful and trying not to encroach into the mask and do something unfixable by accident. Now there's a lot of different ways you could use Phantom of the Opera as a theme. You could just do the theater masks. You could break it down and do masquerade. You could do the roses with the ribbons around them. I kind of incorporated my favorite symbols from the movie. Obviously the mask, obviously the color palette. The roses, I only added the rose on the cover page for the purpose of balancing it out with the mask. I didn't have anything to balance the white mask on the black side, so I needed something on the red side. Um, and so I decided to kind of just give an outlined kind of, I don't know what that term is. It's not like an actual rose. It's like some line art that's vaguely rose-esque. It gives the idea that there's a rose. Also, this N15 marker, I know I'm all over the place, but I'm trying to kind of follow what I'm doing here a little bit. This N15 marker seemed black, but it just wasn't, it was drying pretty charcoal to me. So I went over it a second time, and I was trying not to do so many little lines where they intersect, and it's obviously been colored, but really what can you do? And it looks great overall. If I colored the whole thing in with a gel pen or something, maybe that would have been avoided, but that would have taken ages. I wasn't about to do that. Here you see me struggling with where I had the lettering, and I could just really faintly see the word mind, and so I was trying to build off of the placement of that one word, and also trying to see like how many lines down did it go, and oh gosh, I'm sure it's way different than it was in pencil, but I still like the way that it turned out. Because I was doing this on black, I wanted to make sure to kind of give the gold something to set on, since it is a paint pen. So I went with my Jelly Roll, Sakura Jelly Roll white pen. I think that one is a 0.4. I probably should have done like the 10 or something. And I put the letters in white before I did them in gold. Now you could leave them white if you don't have a paint pen, or if you're not really into like the gold metallic thing, or if you just want it to really pop. You could leave it in white on the black side of the page, and then maybe do black on the red side of the page to give some difference. But anyway, as I was saying about that rose placement, I put that rose there to balance the Phantom's mask on the black, but I'm not good at drawing florals, so I just kind of left it there. And I'm kind of really happy how it turned out. I'm pleasantly surprised. You can tell it's the rose from the movie, which is still very much closed, barely starting to open, and has the ribbon tied around it. So really happy with how that turned out. This cover page is full of color. It's very bold. The rest of the pages are not this colorful and bold, but I still really like how they turned out and hope that they inspire you guys. I added some gold accents to the rose on the red side just to kind of give it some more interest. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably go back in and add some sparkle like starbursts, similar to if you've seen the 2005 Phantom of the Opera movie. Christine has the crystals in her hair when she sings Think of Me. And so similar to that, I think I'll add that just for some extra. Yeah, page was bent weirdly there. But moving on to the calendar spread, I just went in with my InkJoy, gel pen, and did the standard every single month. It's 6 boxes tall, 5 boxes wide for each day. I will say that I did not have the space because January has 31 days and starts on a Saturday. The 31st falls on a Monday, so it would have been an odd placement of the calendar. There was no way to incorporate that one extra day that I needed. So I went ahead and just split the last Monday and made that for the 24th and the 31st of January. And normally I do a second quote on my calendar spread, but moving down from a B5 to an A5, I found I just didn't have the room. So I decided to do a doodle instead, and it is the musical notes, since it's an opera and there's music and orchestra and things like that. I decided to do some musical notes from the actual screenplay, from the movie, uh, from the opera itself. So these notes here I actually pulled from the music sheet for All I Ask of You. The quote on the front page, the cover, is "Let your mind start a journey to a strange new world," which is obviously from Music of the Night. And then, so originally I didn't erase the pencil, and I didn't like how that gold note looked. Couldn't get it to, once you put the Uni Posca paint down on top of pencil, the pencil can't be erased because it's paint on top, not just a marker or colored pencil or something like that. So I couldn't erase it, but I definitely erased it for the other ones just to kind of give it the look I was going for. But yeah, all that to say, that's actual part of the soundtrack. For my dots, for my goals for the month, and then I'll add in events as well. I just did little small versions of the rose doodle as my bullet points. So just some of the ways that you can incorporate your theme into other pages where it doesn't seem like it would naturally fit. I'm a big proponent of the doodle bullet point on the calendar page. And then I wrote January in, and then I just thought this page looked too monochromatic, too simple, and I will actually color those roses in red just to bring some more color to the page. But I wrote the days of the week in gold, and that turned out really great. It's very vibrant, the Uni Posca on the white background. Yeah, I think that this little pop of red just kind of gives something to the page. If you're definitely leaning more towards the simplistic monochromatic look, you don't have to color in the roses. They looked great before. I added the color just because I wanted it there. And then I took the lightest, the N75, the N75 marker, and did the weekly headers and wrote in the numbers of the calendar. Trying to give you a view of how, reflective the paint pen is. And then here I am adding the event section because I had this big space and I felt like I needed to put something in there. Okay, so if you've seen Phantom of the Opera, which I'm assuming that you have, you'll remember the masquerade song and scene where you've got all these people kind of in different kinds of masks coming down the stairs in their amazing outfits. I was trying to create something similar to that, like imagining just a sea of masks, and I could not figure out proportionally how to draw different kinds of masks. I wanted to have some of the full face dominoes. I wanted to have some of the big ones with the feathers, and some of just the plain black ones. And ultimately, I settled on just doing a bunch of what I call superhero masks because it just looked like very basic Robin from Batman and Robin masks. But adding the little stick that people would hold their masks up with, I feel like gives it more of a masquerade look. So I actually took Joshi Curran's inspiration for how I accomplished this page. I didn't feel like I wanted them to look uniform, but I am not an artist, so every time I was drawing, I would draw one and really like it, and then I would go to try to draw it exactly the same, and it would look completely different, and it was driving me insane. So I kept erasing and starting over and trying to simplify the design, and I got to a point where I was just done. So I cut out a piece of paper, and I got I traced this masquerade off of my iPhone, just kind of tried not to activate the touch screen at all to move the picture around, and had it on full brightness, and you could easily trace off of that. Alternatively, you can just print one out and size it down to the size you want. Once I had that paper and I had the one stencil, I flipped the page over and covered it in oh my gosh, pencil lead, and then you could turn it back over and then just trace over the printed, or in my case, traced pattern, and it transfers the graphite from the pencil from the back of the image to the page that you want to sketch on. And that's how I got all of these really light masks. Also, you can retrace the same one without kind of filling in the back 3 or 4 times before you need to kind of re-up the graphite on the back, just in case you are interested in doing this. I went through quite a lot of my lead, just kind of redoing it, and then finally told myself, you know, if it's mostly there, I can use it. And then realizing that I could easily see 3 or 4 copies. And that's probably because I wasn't tracing in exactly the same spot each time. Quite a bit I had to over correct for the pencil sketch, like especially on the eyes for the masks. Some of them looked quite menacing, some of them looked quite lopsided. Goodness. And then because they were so wide and I didn't want them so pressed together, I knew I couldn't fit them all on one page. So I split my habit and mood tracker horizontally, so that the masks are on the top, and the habit trackers, the 6 habit trackers that I've been doing for the last, I don't know, year and a half or something, the 6 habit trackers are at the bottom of the page. And you can almost think that they're like the back of chairs of people maybe looking at this ensemble of masks, but yeah. I also quite like how this page turned out. And what I'll do is I will embellish the masks depending on my mood. So, you know, if I had a lot of anxiety one day, I might add, instead of rating it as a bad day overall for my mood, I would, you know, do my general mood and then do some strings of pearls maybe hanging down from it to indicate that I had a lot of anxiety that day, or I was feeling really weighed down or overwhelmed. So yeah, lace, strings of pearls, maybe some feathers or something like that to kind of indicate different events on that day. This page is something new. I haven't done this before in my bullet journal, but since I am really focusing in 2022 on healing, and that ties so directly into the level 10 life stuff, you know, healing, you know, mindfulness, health, fitness, friendships, relationships, all of those things. I am incorporating an intentions page. So each month in the different categories, I'm going to set an intention for that section of the level 10 life. And then on the right hand side, I'll record any actions that I take towards those intentions. Just so I can kind of see what effort I'm making in which categories, and where I should probably focus in the next few days. And so in the center of that page, I just kind of tied all the iconic symbols of Phantom of the Opera together. And I did the rose with the mask behind it, and some musical score. I didn't pull these directly. I'm sure this combination of notes is in there somewhere, but I just made these ones up. And I will say at this point, writing with a 0.05 pen at this stage of filming was probably not the best idea. I probably should have given my hand and wrist a break, especially after the masquerade page, but I did not. Instead, I decided to try to trace those tiny little letters with a shaky hand, and it's not the best handwriting I've ever done, but it's not terrible either, I guess. I think these pages, once filled in, will obviously right now they look very simple and empty because I have not filled in those pages. But once I do have some stuff written down on them, I think that they'll be just really beautiful pages aesthetically as well as super functional. The idea of kind of keeping track of when you're putting effort into your goals, I think is helpful because even if you don't reach them, you can look back and see what you did towards them and see how far you have come. You know, those changes are being made. So I like the idea of this right hand side. Now on to the final monthly page, although I will be setting up my first weekly page on camera with you guys as well. But typically my last monthly page is my brain dump and one line a day. Sometimes it's a gratitude log, sometimes it's a monthly highlights, but generally I have a brain dump and some kind of daily, statement. And so I always do just a really basic doodle on my brain dump just to kind of give myself as much space as possible to write things down, but still keep the page from just being literally just a brain dump. I went ahead and did the 2 roses, and out of one of the roses, a musical note is coming. And then on the right hand side, it just says line a day, and I wrote the numbers in. So really simple. Let me know in the comments what theme you guys went for in January, or even in your monthly setup, or if you've already decided what you're going to do for February. I am already stressing about what I'm going to do for February because I know I don't want to do the traditional Valentine's thing. I did a spa theme, like a mental health theme last year, which was my first ever YouTube video, so I'm just kind of already thinking about February as well. For my weekly, I saw a picture on, I think I Googled, I saw a picture when looking at something else, and it had like a weekly layout that included intentions. And since I was, focusing so much on intentions for January and for all of 2022, I really kind of wanted to try that out. So the first section will be where am I focusing today. The second section is how's my anxiety, or did I have anxiety, or what caused my anxiety, things like that I can put in that little box. And then my priorities, so top 3 tasks, and then something for self-care. What am I doing for self-care today? And then I can below that have my just regular task list for the day. And because the first week of January starts on a Saturday, I went ahead and did one of my spreads where I squeeze in extra days so I could start the following month, or the following weekly spread will start on a Monday, which is my preference. Yeah, that's my weekly spread. I appreciate you guys being here. It means a lot. And again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like this video and let me know in the comments which of these spreads was your favorite or what your theme is going into January. I love, the whole winter idea. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time.